Squirrel! Today's Disney 100 Foundation calendar review will take a very heartwarming and nicer one with Up, released back in 2009, about this elderly man, Carl Fredricksen, voiced by the late Edward Asner, and he is the husband of this now deceased wife Ellie, and he lives in a house that was considered being replaced and was said to move to an elderly place, but he decides to live on his own forever and somewhere in South America. Meanwhile, a boy named Russell goes out with him throughout an adventure where they meet up with a dog named Doug and a bird named Kevin. Well, before they're being targeted by a villain and his dogs. And I think it's not that to say this, but I think this is probably the most mature story that Pixar has ever done, because this movie is very heartwarming, honestly, not just from the opening, but also from the scenes where Carl Ferguson just that is quiet on his own. Is very kind of emotional, knowing that he's all alone, sad, and wants to be with Ellie, even though he can't anymore. And whenever he goes with Russell, Kevin, and Doug, the more he goes with them, the better he feels, and he feels like he has the happiest life ever since before Ellie passed. And it made for a very emotional movie, especially from the ending and the end credits. And that was cute, where Carl decided to adopt both Russell and Doug. That was a very cute send off to the movie. Now and of course, this movie has a lot of good humor, which mostly comes from Russell and Doug. They are very funny, and they have a lot of good heart in it too, especially in the third act. But mostly they're very funny characters. They have a lot of good character development as well for a little bit. And Kevin is fun too. But mostly Russell and Doug kind of steals the show for me. They're very entertaining. And I did enjoy the Doug Days Disney Plus miniseries that came out 2021. And I thought the villain was a very cool one as well, because it was kind of like a twist villain, but it was an earlier one, kind of like Lasso from Toy Story 3. But the villain is very awesome. He reminds me a lot of Ernesto the Cruz from Coco, but it's a different kind of way, and the motivations are different. But it also makes me curious of how old he is, because the villain was already shown in the beginning of the movie as a grown man, but when Carl Fredricksen was a little kid, so makes me wonder how old is this villain when with Carl Fredricksen's now older. But that's just a nitpick. I thought the animation, the backgrounds are some of the most well well designed things I've ever seen in a Pixar movie. Like this is probably the most dramatic movie from that any animation studio has ever done. Like it's a different kind of animated film where you can simply watch it like once a year. It's not a movie where you can watch it wherever you want. It feels like you have to watch it because you feel like it. And I do think this movie really is a movie that you should watch once a year to feel it. Um, and the adventure aspects of it are pretty fun too. But mostly the movie comes from like the emotions in it. That's like the main thing that we all loved about the movie. And yeah, really Up was a very, very good movie. It's probably the top 10 best Pixar movie. Is a really, really powerful movie, honestly, to me.